The King and Queen will not meet survivors of the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein on their state visit to the US later this month. The trip comes at a difficult time for UK and US relations, which have been strained by the Iran war. Our royal correspondent Johnny Diamond reports.
This is far from the King and Queen's first visit to the US, but they've never been at such a sensitive time, such a difficult time in the two nations' relationship. For a century, conflict has bound Britain and the US together, but no more. America's war on Iran is not supported by Britain. As it began, the government denied the US use of air bases here. That reluctance to join the American war has brought anger and ridicule from President Trump.
I actually asked UK, who should be our best? In fact, the King is coming over here in 2 weeks. He's a nice guy, King Charles, but should be our best, right, Brooke? But they weren't our best. I said, you have two old, broken-down aircraft carriers. You think you could send them over? Oh, I'll have to ask my team. I said, you're the Prime Minister. You don't have... No. I have to ask my team, President.
It makes this, the President's second state visit to the UK, seem like ancient history. But history, shared history, is what the return visit is about, marking 250 years since the US declared independence from Britain, and 250 years of friendship and mutual sacrifice, a relationship the palace and the government believes rises above the challenges of the past few weeks. After the formality of Washington will be time spent in New York and then Virginia. There have been calls from some for the King and Queen to meet victims of the sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein, the friend for so long of the King's brother, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. No such meetings are planned. Just like the last time, this time will be about the mood, about reminding the two countries and the world of the length and strength of this relationship, no matter what current times might bring. Johnny Diamond, BBC News.
Harry and Meghan are continuing their trip to Australia, visiting Indigenous veterans. The Duke of Sussex took part in a ceremony at the For Our Country Memorial. It recognises the military service of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their legacy. Prince Harry also met players from the Australian rules football team in the Western Bulldogs and was given a quick lesson. During a speech, he talked about mental health and admitted he had stuff from the past he needed to deal with before having his own children. Harry and Meghan are no longer working royals and are visiting Australia in a private capacity. Our correspondent Simon Atkinson is in Melbourne following developments.
I mean, the only time they've really had any kind of interaction with large numbers of people was what we saw yesterday when they arrived at the Children's Hospital here in Melbourne. I know there wasn't like whoops of delight, but it was certainly a very warm welcome. You know, lots of handshakes and smiles and posing for selfies. And today at the football club where we saw him earlier, everyone that I spoke to only really had, you know, good things to say about him. There has been a lot of talk on this trip about it being a kind of a cover almost for commercial ventures. We do know that there is some activities which the couple are making money from, but you know, sources from close to the Sussexes say, you know, this really is very unfair criticism. The vast majority of what they're doing on this trip is linked to their charitable causes and interests that they hold close to their hearts, issues like veterans affairs and mental health.
Mental health is something that Prince Harry's talked about before. How's that been received?
It has. I mean, I was in the room this morning when he was speaking about the importance of mental health for young fathers. He spoke quite frankly about some of the challenges that he had, including after the birth of his first child, and how he said how Prince Archie picked up on his own kind of anxiety at times. This was launching a report by the organisation Movember, which champions men's mental health. The chief research officer there told me that, you know, having Harry's kind of supporting their message that men really should reach out for help if they feel they need it after they've had a child, you know, really was very important.
What's next on their agenda?
Well, as you say, the Duke's in Canberra. He's got another engagement this evening. That's to do with the Invictus Games, the sporting event for veterans which he founded in 2014. Then he's back to Melbourne, where tomorrow both he and the Duchess do have engagements. We haven't seen the Duchess at all today. She doesn't have any public engagements. Like you say, they're here as private citizens. They don't have to account for every minute of their day. We have asked their spokesperson what she's up to, and we haven't had any information. I guess that's fair enough, but we know that they do have things tomorrow. The Duke is giving a keynote speech at a mental health summit here in Melbourne, and the Duchess is also attending some events with him in the morning.
Simon Atkinson in Melbourne.